You are listening to the Eskimo Empire Podcast, a proud member of the Canadian Football Podcast Network.
Welcome to the Empire. It's the Eskimo Empire Podcast.
Riley's in the shotgun, looking downfield, and then throws. It is up in the air to the goal line. Bounces. What a catch! What a catch by Duke Williams! Touchdown, Eskimos! Bryant Mitchell! It's going to be intercepted. Arjun Colhoun.
Mike appears to be a CFL encyclopedia.
Welcome back to the Turf District. It's another episode brought to you by United Construction Company. Check out all of the great builds they do at unitedconstruction.ca. And of course, check out all of our links and social media at eskempire.ca. I'm your host, Andrew, and also here again is the one and only superfan, Mike.
Well, hey.
That's a perfect intro at this particular moment.
Yeah.
Commissioner Kayla, of course, is still off gallivanting Europe, somewhere in Italy, I believe.
Yeah, I feel really bad for her.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. I do feel bad for her because she actually stayed up to watch that crap today. So we will give her a little bit of hope there. Hopefully she'll be back next week or the week after. But
hopefully the team will be too.
Yeah, let's hope.
So, just saying.
Nice. And I do want to, of course, thank her again for calling in for the show last week. And if you haven't listened to it, check that out. Commissioner all the way from Greece calling in to chat with us about some Eskimo football. So now we did get a featured fan, though, this week. Just to have a little bit more fun. We were able to bring in a new fan, and that fan is Mandy. How you doing?
Great. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. No, this is fantastic. We love when new fans come in.
Andrew and Mike, you guys are the best. I love listening to your podcast.
Oh, thanks. Well, now I'm just blushing.
Now we got to pay her. Okay.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Yeah, where is my check, by the way?
Where did it go? Yeah, exactly. Now, we talked about it a bit on Periscope, but you have an interesting story as an Esks fan because you came from a different land of green, and now you are an Esks fan. So tell us a little bit about how that came to be, where you came from, and all those types of things.
Well, let's see. I was born and raised in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Yes.
That's where we actually celebrate football a lot more than we do in Alberta, to be honest with you.
That's fair. I understand.
So I got football in my blood.
Yeah.
Some green, now some gold.
Excellent. That's good.
And yes, they do consider me a traitor there in Saskatchewan.
I can only imagine. Yes.
But how can I not have the gold in my blood?
It's true.
Now, how did you become an Esks fan, and how long ago was it that you kind of fell in love with the team?
Yeah, about 8 years ago, actually, I really fell in love with the team due to Willie Pless, who treated me to a game.
Nice.
And
awesome.
Yeah, it was here in Edmonton, and we played Saskatchewan and went to overtime. And actually, I was going to that game, and I said to the person I was going with, I said, would you like me to pick you up a Saskatchewan shirt? No, wrong team. Oh, shoot. So I had to cheer for the Eskimos.
And it just stuck.
And then Eskimos won in overtime, and I switched teams.
Nice.
Look at that.
Look at that. Yeah, other than days like today, it's wonderful.
So, obviously, a question I always love to ask is things about Eskimo collectibles or items you might have. Do you have any favorite pieces of memorabilia or things in your collection?
Well, I don't have too much, but, I have a football signed. I have a couple cards signed.
Nice.
Yeah, I got my Eskimo jersey actually from my old Boston, Saskatchewan in 2013.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and because I was working there in Saskatchewan, everybody's cheering for the Rough Riders, right? And I felt so left out because everybody's wearing their jerseys. And I said, I just want to cheer for the Eskimos. So my boss bought me an Eskimo shirt.
Nice.
Really?
That's a good boss.
Nice.
Or a jersey, yeah. That was the best.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Do you have it crested or anything, or is it just a blank jersey? Or
Trying to get my Grimes on there.
Oh, nice. Okay,
nice.
now we're talking about it. So obviously we know who your current favorite player is, but who is in the 8 years that you followed them, is there one player that kind of stands out for you as your favorite?
Well, in 8 years, that's going back a long time. But
yeah.
Today, of course, there's Mike Riley, right?
Yeah.
Always.
Oh. everybody.
JC Sherritt.
Yes.
Good choice.
Currently today in this season, Bazzi, he's coming.
Okay.
Oh, he's bringing it. Serezna, Jake Serezna.
Love me some Tresley.
Oh,
Excellent picks. Lovely. Those are all great. That's awesome. Well, let's get to our Esks news now that we know a little bit about you, and then we'll chat about the game right away. So Alan Michael Cash was kind of on and off the PR. What was
Again.
that, like 3 days? Yeah.
Because he was here July 3rd and then cut July 5th.
Yes.
So
and this time,
yeah.
it
So
was
this time he
the
got an
same
extra
thing.
day. He got 3 days this time.
That's good.
That's nice.
That's excellent. It was actually nice to kind of see him out there.
We hardly knew ye.
Exactly. Now, they did add Kevin Elliott to the PR,
Yes.
which we talked about last week. I have mixed emotions on this because, it's just another guy that catches and celebrates a 6-yard pass when he needs 10. But anyway, welcome to the Empire, and I hope that he's better at this.
You know what? I think that when he and Vidal Hazelton were on the Toronto Argonauts together,
yes,
they were much younger. I mean, it's been a few years now. Well, I don't know, much younger, but they certainly were younger. And I'm hoping that the experience going around for a couple of different teams is definitely sort of opened their eyes up a bit. They've matured. Sit down and focus on the game.
Right.
It's all great to be celebrating and be energetic and exciting and everything else, emotional.
Sure.
But at this point, this is a job, and we all take it pretty seriously.
Maybe
not as much as Saskatchewan, apparently, but we all still do.
Yes.
I had to get a shot in.
Hey.
But it's one of those things that you have a job to do. Your job is to catch. Your job is to block, to run routes. So get that done and celebrate with a win with the rest of your team.
Yeah, absolutely. And like we said, we don't know how much he's going to see. I mean, he's on the practice roster for now.
Exactly.
Changes,
but
right?
it was great. He was brought in because we had an injury to Duke Williams. If that was a little more serious, we're going to need another body on that roster. So Jaron Kreiner still isn't ready.
No.
As another guy we brought in at training camp. So if he does get in, I hope everyone in the Empire gives him their full support.
Yeah, absolutely. Other big news that was announced this week is the coming game here against Ottawa. Halftime is going to have another big show as Busta Rhymes is going to be playing halftime. Are you excited about this, Mandy?
Heck to the yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love the CFL connection to this. Because there was a player in the late 80s that played for Winnipeg named Buster Rhymes, and that's where this came from.
That's
right.
cool.
Yeah, and so now he's Buster Rhymes.
He's Buster Rhymes.
So I think this will go about the same as Ludacris. So, I mean, that was
a big game
That's
for
a big
us.
one. That's a great one.
The players all seemed really excited.
And
right?
I'll wait for your Fire Trucker remix for the show next week. Yeah, that'll be fantastic. We need to find a new song.
We're going to get an exhibit next, I'm sure.
I'm sure it'd be lovely. Yeah. All right, let's get to our game. As much as we kind of don't want to, we do need to talk about it.
It was so long ago.
Yes, but mere hours after we are recording the show, the Eskimos lose again to the Riders. Well, I guess again, they lost again. First time to the Riders this season.
Yeah, it's interesting because we won by 7 in August 2nd, and then we lost by 7 here. So we did split the season series, so now there's going to be an extra tiebreaker. So
so I don't know how.
I think it's points for, but that won't be until, or maybe it's divisional record.
Yeah.
We won't know that until the end of the season.
Well, it's okay. We're not going to get that close to them.
We're not going to tie.
So it won't matter. But anyway, we lose 19-12 on really a last-minute defensive pick 6 by Willie Jefferson.
Former Eskimo, Willie Jefferson.
Yeah, on the wall as one of the best to wear number 99, and he killed our hearts.
Wearing
today.
number 7, yeah.
That jerk. Anyway, let's find some good in this game.
Yes.
Mandy, did you have some positives that kind of came out for you in this game?
To be honest with you, let me tell you, I found a lot of positives.
Good.
In fact, the whole game I was positive until the last 4 minutes.
Yeah, that was not so good.
But we actually, you guys might have a different opinion than me, but we actually showed up and played today. I think most people did well. There's a couple exceptions to that rule. I will point those out if I want to be negative. But
we'll get to those.
We got B. Mitch. We got Jake Serezna. We got Neil King into the safety. I mean, Bazzi, come on, tell me about it. I think that Riley super improved today. And guess what? I think we only got about 3 penalties compared to Rough Riders maybe having about 6.
Well, we had 3 at the end of the first half.
Right.
I don't know how many we got in the second half, but the ones that we got
But at least Chris Edwards...
Fire truck.
Yeah.
No, wait, he did one good play.
Yeah, he had a penalty.
No, but he
Chris
had one
Edwards
good play.
did?
Yeah, 26. Remember, it was that offside.
Oh, yeah, right. I was thinking about the objectionable conduct,
Which we still don't know what happened.
Well, I'm sure he said something. Like that's what.
But we're not even sure if it was him because they weren't. Yeah. They weren't necessarily playing the numbers.
Might not have been the right guy. Okay, so I would agree with you. There was some positives in there in the fact that for me the defense was a positive, especially that defensive line. I mean, Mondo was
on fire.
He was all over it. What was that? 3 sacks? 4 sacks?
2 sacks.
2 sacks.
He had some hurries, some rushes.
Yeah, and a couple of stops right at the line of scrimmage.
Tackle for a loss on.
He got back-to-back sacks.
Yeah,
actually,
pretty close.
Sure did.
Yes, and I thought he was playing as a man on a mission, and I think, and you mentioned this already, J.C. Sherritt as well.
Yes,
just all over the field.
Some serious hits. He is going to get fined for one, I think.
Oh, I think so too.
I think not. I mean, I think that was baloney.
Really?
To be honest with you. Yeah, I saw that takedown and yikes.
I mean,
it was not intentional, that's for
if
sure.
If he didn't know the guy dropped the ball, he was trying to take the guy down with the ball, but it did connect
shoulder
to the head. Is that what it was? Yeah.
Well, accidental shoulder to the head, sure. I mean, are we allowed to play tackle football or flag football?
Hey, I hear you. Although later on we'll be talking about
I'm just going to say, hits to the head don't matter as long as it's the quarterback, right? Anyway,
Yeah, I agree with you for sure on all those names you talked about, both you and Mandy. I thought Neil King has one of his best games this season.
I would agree.
He was really flying around with that ball, which I thought was great. Obviously, Mondo with a couple of sacks, he was just on fire, and a whole offensive line. You didn't really hear Kwaku get mentioned a lot, but he was still flying to the ball and to the quarterback. And, they were having to rush the ball sometimes.
Yeah.
On the other side of the ball, we'll talk about was special teams. I thought that the kickers did exceptional this game.
Yes.
We had 4 for 4 for Sean White. Didn't miss once. He is money. Yep. And then on Hugh O'Neill, he out-punted Lothar.
And he had a couple of monster punts.
Kickoffs for Lothar.
Right.
And then he out-punted Ottawa as well. Both on
Ottawa. Really?
Yeah,
that's really cool.
I'm already in next week.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. All of us are trying to just get to next week.
Yeah, he out-punted Bartel as well, both on his actual punting and net. Mm-hmm. So I think they did a great job on that side of the ball, for sure.
For me, with the special teams, the only improvement I saw was Martise Jackson. Everything else stayed the same.
For returns, absolutely.
Yes, for return, I would wholeheartedly agree. Yeah. Now, funny, I went to practice last week just to kind of catch up a little bit, see where things are at. And as I came in, they were working on blocking, specifically working on blocking. And I joked because Kim was there, Kim Duguay, that we know from the podcast, and I said, "Wow, look, they're actually blocking!
Yes.
Like that's crazy!" And then
are they allowed to do that?
Time came, and on punts, not so much. So I mean, it's work in progress to say the least.
Yeah, I think. Martise he had a tough time on punt returns. With
missed field goals, though.
3-yard average on missed. But, he did well on kickoffs and on missed field goals.
Yeah.
I mean, he was, getting 23, 25, 30 yards on some of those returns.
Yeah.
Which I think is, anytime you're getting, a missed field goal out to past the 20 at that point, it's a win.
Well, and for us, I mean, I know we're not used to that. We're used to, okay, they missed the field goal, just give the point and be happy. But as he's coming out of there, he's coming out with a head of steam, and he's getting to the 25, 30-yard line. Right. Okay, then that's okay. I'll definitely
And it's not being called back for penalties.
Yeah, what?
Let's take it.
All right, we'll take it. See, there's the positive. We found some positive. Now, you were saying...
Can we have the podcast now?
Coach would be okay with that,
exactly.
I think. Mandy, let's talk about... Because you really you thought that the offense was back, or that Mike Riley was back this week. So what parts of the game were triggering that for you?
Well, let me say that I don't think the offense is back. I did think that Riley was back this game, though.
Okay.
I think that the offense is declining severely in the last season or two, ever since Moss took over as offensive coordinator.
Okay.
Interesting. I mean, we're talking about what part of the offense specifically, because we still have the number one receiver, although he hasn't been great the last couple of weeks, in Duke Williams. Last year we had the number one receiver in Brandon Zylstra. We've had the number one receiver in Darius Bowman. Like, we're still seeing that particular... I'm not saying I disagree with you. I'm just saying there are parts of the offense I think that are working, but what parts do you not see working on that offense?
I'm not saying that our receivers are doing bad. I love our receivers.
Sure.
I'm saying our offensive line is horrid.
I mean, I'm certainly not going to argue on that.
Today, I will not argue with that at all.
I think that I found... I mean, I tried to, because we were recording the night of the game itself,
Yes.
I didn't have as much chance to look over the PVR. But just looking at it the first time, I really specifically noticed the right side of that line. Now, we did have some changes from the right side, sort of with David Beard, who's a right guard, moving to center, and Jacob Ruby going in at right guard. But this was certainly one of the worst games that Colin Kelly's had at right tackle, I thought.
He got eaten alive today.
Absolutely, and at Ruby as well. It seemed to be, and not to say that the left side was blameless as well, but you didn't see any penalties, which was nice. Yeah. Usually there'll be some sort of offside, because there always seem to be watching Bond and Matt O'Donnell on the left side.
Yeah.
But I thought they had a decent game on the left side. The right side, though, it was a sieve.
Now, against the Saskatchewan defensive line, to be fair, their defensive line is amazing. Yeah. I mean, that's to be fair. But Riley was getting the crap beat out of him today.
Yowzers.
Yeah.
It's
okay. You can say whatever you want.
I couldn't have said that any better myself.
He was getting his butt kicked a little bit more last game. But let me tell you something. I am not impressed with Matt O'Donnell tonight.
Interesting.
Really? Okay.
Oh, my goodness. Did you see him laze around when Mike actually went down? And Matt O'Donnell was standing there like he didn't know anything what was going on around him. He doesn't know how to run. Ugh. Take him out. Take him out.
You know what? I think there's two things that I will... that I want to play off of what you just said.
Nice.
Now we're going to go into...
Well, actually, not nice.
We're going to go into the what the fucks here, just so that you know, because we're getting there.
Fire trucker.
Yeah, exactly. I noticed a few times where the guys weren't picking Riley up.
No.
Oh.
Like, he's getting drilled, and nobody is going over and
that was Matt O'Donnell standing there doing nothing. Yep.
There was. I noticed that a couple of times.
Yep, that's what I'm talking about.
And the other one we talked about in the Periscope, and Mike, you and I have talked about this already.
Sure have.
When Willie Jefferson gets the interception that ends up being the game-winning TD, he has 10 to 12 seconds of just dancing around before going across the goal line, and nobody is hustling out. Now, when he caught it, Jacob Ruby took off after him.
Sure.
And he thought that he was just going to run into the end zone, so he slowed down. Mm-hmm. And then he turned and started going, but nobody, no receiver, no offensive lineman, no running back. And Riley got drilled, which should have been a penalty.
Riley's the only one running for that thing.
And nobody is going back to even make an attempt to stop him, which then ran off a whole bunch of more time that we needed to try and come back in this game. Mm-hmm. To me, it's so frustrating, because I'm thinking, where's the passion? We're not that far off, but it was like everybody just kind of gave up on the play.
I'm just wondering if that's a bit of a microcosm of the last couple of games this season. We're going to have a whole lot in this whole what the
fire truck
section. Let's be honest. I've been sort of trying to keep track of our fourth quarter
cringe
to complete dismantling.
Yes.
In the last 6 games, going back to mid-August, so we're talking 2 months.
Yes.
In the fourth quarters combined over the 6 games, we scored 3 points.
20 points. Yeah.
3 points, and that was against Calgary on Labor Day.
Yes.
So even in the amazing game we had in the Labor Day rematch, 0 points in the fourth quarter. Mm-hmm. It has been something that it just... Like, our second halves haven't been great. Again, the Labor Day rematch accepted. But the fourth quarter was our quarter for a long time, even under Moss last year. So what has happened this year... I haven't even gone before the game, because the Montreal game in August was the last time we scored, I think, 10 points in that game in the fourth quarter. That's the last time.
Wow. And that's crazy to think that with this team. And we always talk about Mike Riley. Now, I would agree with you in the fact that Mike Riley did seem back today. His balls were definitely more accurate. That sounded horrible. His throwing was a lot more accurate.
I think he was more accurate. He was running the ball more. He was sliding feet first.
Wonderful. He was doing
preserving himself.
Mike Riley things in between the 20s.
Yeah, but you know what? They get paid a lot, too. We're talking about the best defenses in the league.
Oh, sure.
And, they're going to tighten up. And the thing I have the biggest problem with is less about Riley and more about the play calling. And we have short dump passes.
Yes.
Long bombs.
Yes.
And nothing really in the middle. Where's that? Why are we not attacking the middle of the field? Especially when a Chris Jones defense blitzes all the time. Why are we not having that? You got a guy that because they're doing it to us.
Yep.
They're finding that spot in the zone and just sitting in there. When you're blitzing, you've got a zone.
We play zone?
Yeah, I know. It's new.
I know.
And for some reason, people are able to find the soft spots in that
Unreal.
zone. So why are we not doing that? I don't get it. The running game with CJ Gable.
I saved that one for
I
you.
know. Because I talk about it every week.
There is nowhere for CJ Gable to run tonight.
But he was getting 5 yards a carry.
Yeah, and 5
yards.
5, but I know, but 5 and 5 is 10. First down, you keep going.
Yeah.
He was
near the end of the game. That's when you want to run off the clock. We had the lead.
Yeah.
Mike Riley's pass that ended up going to, why not run the ball? And then if you have to, punt. Seriously, at that point...
Run the ball and run the clock.
Exactly. The clock keeps running on a run play. If you have an incomplete pass, it stops. So at that point, why are you not running the ball? And it seems like every week... CJ Gable, the other game, had an 8.7 yard per carry average in the game, and they only ran him 6 times.
Yes.
3 in the first, 3 in the second half. What is it about Gable that there... And if there is a problem, then why is he in the game?
Exactly. We have
put in Shaq Cooper, put in, Jordan Robinson, somebody who is able to do this, because if you're not willing to run the ball, I know Gable's a good blocker, but that is going to stop the defensive line from just pinning their ears back, and it makes them be honest. So they don't just cheat up to the line.
Yeah, and we had the same amount of yards passing as we did running, but that's because Mike Riley was running all the time.
For his life, he was the top runner in the game.
And we're not using CJ Gable to his ability. Now, I think that if he can get 6 yards over and over and over again,
I think he was close to 60 yards on 12 carries. That's 5 yards a carry.
Perfect.
At that point, give him 15, 20 yards or 20 carries in this game.
And keep pounding it, because then he gets better as the game goes on, and he gets the ball. Yeah. Where's the defense? And then it opens up other options.
But strangely, nobody asks us
now
on the team. So.
If we can open up those options, and how many push-ups did I record today?
Oh, at least 5 or 6.
5 for sure. Majority of those, Vidal Hazelton. Now he made one spectacular catch. I will give him full credit.
One spectacular catch.
How many drops?
I'm sorry. Can I interrupt you?
Yes,
by all means.
And you can pick it up. But I will say he made one spectacular catch, and then he just about lost his temper, and the coach had to pull him off. He just about got a penalty for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I say let him go.
One catch.
You're not going to find a lot of people fighting you on this one.
No.
I'll tell you.
No. Right now, I don't understand what's going on with Vidal. Last year, he put up 700 yards. He was that great third receiver. He had the injury, but he came back and he was really playing. And I don't know what's going on right now, but it hits him right in the hands, and it has fallen to the turf.
Last season, I was all about Vidal.
We all were.
Yeah.
We at the beginning of this year, we both predicted that he would be the number 1 receiver in the league.
Yeah.
And yet
he's a big body. Yeah. He's got some great speed in making cuts and going across the middle, which was his bread and butter. And we're not running those plays, and I think that's part of the problem.
Well, that's part of it, but the other part of it, he's wide open, and he gets it thrown to him, and he's dropping it.
And then he's double covered, and he catches it. I don't get it.
I don't understand at all what's going on with him. So
the thing I don't like most is that he was being put on the field, and we were sitting Bryant Mitchell.
Yes, and now Bryant Mitchell's in, but they're not going to him. What did he have? 3 targets this game?
Yeah,
maybe?
And
one of them was the huge catch at the end of the game.
Yes.
But
yeah, I saw B Mitch in the mix actually quite a lot, and he actually tackled somebody pretty well as well. And then did you see that hard hit on B Mitch?
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
And yet he catches he catches the stuff that comes to him. So I just don't understand. Granted, I'm not sitting in the offensive room. As we've said before, we don't know where
what the plays are being
to be
called. Maybe there's things away from the ball that the coaches aren't liking. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to say that he's not doing everything he's supposed to do.
Yes.
But there's some reason that the coaches aren't making him a feature guy in this offense.
Yeah.
I mean, I know he's going to be
the feature guy they're going to keeps dropping the friggin' ball.
Duke Williams.
He's the boundary wide out. What's going on?
Duke, he's hungry.
Duke, no,
but
Duke
he's dropping it.
He had a great game today.
With the exception
of the one tip that he should have just knocked down. He tried to make the spectacular catch.
But that's in him, right? He's always going to try.
The other one was a circus catch that I think he slowed down a little, but he would have had it if he...
Sure.
But anyway.
Interesting fact.
Little thing.
Interesting fact. Duke doesn't eat before the game.
I heard that
before. Yeah, doesn't eat at all.
That's bizarre. I mean, to me, you'd think that you'd want all those calories for the energy.
But that's what Hightower said to me too. Though he goes, "I don't eat before a game. Like it just
maybe it's just the nerves.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting.
Or maybe it's because they're so hungry they want to make some money and eat afterward.
That works.
So hungry, you got to work for it.
Now, if they were getting the wins, I'd be much more happy with it.
Yeah, I have a question.
Sure.
The Eskimos did not win. So did Duke still eat after the game?
That's an excellent question.
Excellent question. I don't know.
Sorry.
Duke,
eating for closers.
Yeah, we got to say, Duke, did you eat?
Duke, did you get some supper tonight?
Yeah, exactly.
Coffee is for closers.
Oh,
I love that movie.
I love that movie. Anyway, it was another tough one. We've got another tough one on the schedule. So let's talk about something that's a little more pleasant, shall we?
Nah.
Let's go to the Eskimo history moment.
Let's hear you cheer and holler for a mighty famous team. Let's hear you roar, you know what, for a team that's on the beat. Our voices rise up to the skies, the fans are glad to scream. We love those Eskimos.
Welcome back to the Eskimos history moment. With our recent game versus the Saskatchewan Roughriders,
Boo.
We thought it might be appropriate on what would have been his 80th birthday this week to look back at a player who was considered by most to be the greatest player ever to wear green and white, and not coincidentally a man who was the winningest coach in Eskimo history, Ron Lancaster.
Mm-hmm.
Born in October 14th, 1938 in Fairchance, Pennsylvania, which is a suburb of Pittsburgh, Lancaster was a talented quarterback by the time he was in high school, but fairly undersized at the position his whole life, and he was overlooked by the larger colleges. So he plied his trade at the equally undersized Wittenberg College of the Ohio Athletic Conference. There he led his team to a 25-8-1 record in his 4 years there, and winning the championship in his second and third years.
Nice.
So, though he did grow another 5 inches over his high school years, he was still considered undersized at 5'10" by the time he graduated, and he was passed over by the NFL at draft time. With his college coach, though, having connections with the Ottawa Rough Riders in the CFL, Digger Lancaster, as he was called, signed with the Black Riders in 1960, splitting time with Russ Jackson at quarterback, and as many did, went both ways, and saw time at defensive back.
Nice.
He won the Grey Cup over Jack Parker, Rollie Miles, and the rest of the Eskimos in his rookie season. But because Russ Jackson got the majority of reps, Ronnie didn't see him as much time under center, so his rights were sold to the cross-division Rider team in 1963, where he flourished, winning that franchise's first Grey Cup in 66.
And how long have they been around at that point?
At that point, 56 years.
Okay, well, that's good.
To be fair, though, the West wasn't allowed to compete for the Grey Cup for the first 10 or 11 of those. So.
Oh, now we're just getting into details.
Now we're splitting hairs.
Okay.
So as his storied career was winding down as a player in the late 70s, Lancaster started seeing backup Larry Dick see more and more reps. And in his final home game at Taylor Field in October of 1978, Lancaster was booed by the Rider faithful after a 13-7 loss to their hated rival, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Ronnie's final game, though, as a player was the following week at Commonwealth Stadium, and he suffered the ultimate indignity by being benched by the interim head coach, Walt Pozadowski. The first-placed Eskimos, led by Lancaster's friend and former teammate Hugh Campbell, were leading the 3-11-1 Riders 26-20 with 10 minutes remaining and had the game pretty well in hand. The Riders then pulled the struggling Larry Dick and sent in 40-year-old Little General for his final hurrah.
Wow.
42,000 fans in Edmonton rose to their feet to give Lancaster a standing ovation and watched as he engineered 2 drives for touchdowns to defeat the hometown team and end his Hall of Fame career with one final win as the Edmonton faithful applauded him off the field.
Wow.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of a classy moment.
Absolutely.
For Edmonton, even though they were winning, they put this guy in. He wins the game for the opposing team, and we still give him a standing ovation. So,
wow. Well, you still need to respect talent.
Oh, absolutely. And again, their 19-year career, right? So
yeah.
Lancaster became a head coach the following season in Regina, but after back-to-back 2-14 records was let go. Don't know why.
Oh, wow.
He did begin a new career in broadcasting, sitting alongside Leo Cahill doing color commentary for CBC for 10 years, before old friend Hugh Campbell coaxed him out of retirement to replace the recently departed Joe Pops Faragelli as the Eskimos' 13th head coach in franchise history. The Eskimos responded to the new head man and finished in first place with a 12-6 record in his first year, but lost a heartbreaker to the Calgary Stampeders in the West Final at Commonwealth. 1992 saw Edmonton beating Saskatchewan by 2 in the West Semi, but again lost Doug Flutie and the hated Stampeders by a single point in the West Final at McMahon.
The hated Stampeders.
Yeah, I hear ya.
By all of us.
1993 saw the Grey Cup back in Calgary for the first time since Edmonton won there in 1975, and they got to play spoiler, ruining Calgary's plans for a hometown Grey Cup win by decisively beating the Stampeders 29-15 to again take the home locker room at McMahon Grey Cup. History repeated that year as Lancaster won his first Grey Cup as a head coach, beating Winnipeg 33-23 to capture their 11th Grey Cup in Eskimo history. Expectations were riding high as Edmonton played through the mid-1990s during the U.S. expansion era, but the Eskimos again finished second in 1994, 95, and 96. After disappointing exits in the playoffs for 2 years, Edmonton returned to the Grey Cup in 1996. In a hotly contested result, let's just say. The Argonauts secured a victory and sent the Eskimos back home disappointed at what might have been. One of the highlights of that game, of course, was a catch by Edmonton receiver Downtown Eddie Brown, who caught the ball literally off his shoe top, but it wasn't enough.
Oh.
Edmonton finally returned to first place in the West in 1997, but again were edged out in the playoffs by a single point. This was the last game for Lancaster as head coach in green and gold, as he, along with quarterback Danny McManus and receiver Darren Flutie, left for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, where he brought the Easter team to back-to-back Grey Cups, including a win in 1999. Ron Lancaster had 7 consecutive seasons at Edmonton, with double-digit wins in every season, and holds the record for most wins by an Eskimo head coach with 83. Lancaster was fiercely proud of his adopted home country and the league where he spent his entire professional career both as a player and coach. Ron Lancaster passed away 10 years ago last month after a battle with cancer just shy of his 70th birthday, and the accolades have poured out by all the people whose lives he touched. The headline of the Edmonton Journal after his final game in 1978 summed up his life. Ronnie goes out a winner.
Going for a touchdown. Going for a touchdown. Going for a touchdown. We love those Eskimos.
Wow.
That's awesome.
That was fantastic.
Yeah.
And great when we had that game today. I mean, to recall back to the Little General and all the stuff he did for both teams.
Absolutely. I mean, don't forget, this is, at the time, especially in the 1993 Grey Cup, try and imagine being an old-time Saskatchewan Rough Rider fan and seeing Hugh Campbell and Ron Lancaster leading the Eskimos to victory, both of whom starred for the Riders, especially in the 60s.
Yeah. Wow. That's pretty amazing. Well done, Superfan.
Yeah.
That was awesome. Well, let's take a really quick break, and we'll come back with our CFPN game preview, our pick'ems for this week, and, of course, the fantasy picks.
This is Bud Steen, and you're listening to the Eskimo Empire Podcast.
The Eskimo Empire Podcast is brought to you by United Construction Company. As a full-service commercial general contractor, United Construction Company serves large and small-scale commercial, light industrial, and multifamily residential construction projects across Western Canada. UCC is a relationship-focused builder, forming a trust and respect that is at the forefront of their commitment to quality, value, and integrity. Visit their website at unitedconstruction.ca to find out more and support them as they support the Empire.
Get loud for me. Get loud for me. Get loud for me. Hands in the crowd, we tearing it down.
You can join the Empire online.
Find us at eskempire.ca.
Check out all the new blogs and then follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
For more history, follow at Esks History on Twitter.
And even more of my pics on Esk Empire Photo.
Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to help the pod grow. Thanks again for listening. Let's get back to the show. Welcome back. It is time for our pick'ems. Now, the leader after this week is still Steve-O, but Coach Vic coming up into second place there.
He's not a surprise.
His positive vibes are getting him up there.
See?
Yeah, I hope he wins.
I think he's onto something.
No, I think so, maybe. I love you, Coach, but I just can't do it all the time. I am down to 39th this week.
Well done.
And you're at 33rd. Now,
Turd.
Now, you know what? I was ahead of you and then the games happened today. Not so much. All right.
Well, sometimes.
So you picked Calgary, and that's what screwed me up. So now I'm a bit behind. So I gotta.
What's the phrase? Stupid Montreal.
That's right. Good thing you're picking first tonight. Now the first game up this week is Friday Night Football. Of course, Hamilton versus Toronto. The big battle carries on, shall we say?
Oh, but there's a plot twist,
isn't there? The exciting part is there is a new quarterback coming in for the Toronto Argonauts, and he wears number 2.
There's a new head honcho in town.
Fantastic. He's a great dude, and his name is James Franklin.
Franklin!
You've heard of him?
I have.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I'm very excited.
Love the James Franklin.
All right, Hamilton versus Toronto. This is in Toronto. Now, both Toronto and Montreal were eliminated from playoffs this weekend. Who would you pick to win this game, Mandy? We'll pick with you. You get to pick first because you're our guest.
Well, which game? Just next week?
Hamilton versus Toronto.
Aye. Definitely Hamilton.
All right, fair enough. I can appreciate that. Super fan?
Well, if it wasn't for Franklin going in there, I think this would be pretty much a 3-way sweep.
Yes.
As much as I do love me some Jimmy Deuce.
Yes.
I think that Hamilton is just on a roll right now. They are, I think, the best team in the East, and they are wanting that home playoff date. They're going to be loaded for bear, whereas it's more of an audition for next year for Toronto. So I think it's going to be Hamilton.
Yeah, very likely. And I love you, James, but Hamilton's going to win this game.
Whoa.
I got to try and catch you now. I can't give you the win that's just all the guys around him don't help. Now, the rumors were swirling this week about SJ Green possibly being traded as well. Any chance that you think where SJ Green might end up?
I mean, there's a couple of options for sure. That they would love him in a lot of places. He's, especially places that have younger talent up there. I could see Jones making a big pitch for him in Saskatchewan.
Okay.
SJ's not the youngest guy, so it's not like he's a long-term solution.
No.
But I think somebody because the trade deadline's coming right up.
Yeah.
Someone that's making a huge push. I think you could see him in red and white.
That's exactly what I was thinking, is that I think he might end up in Calgary just because they are dealing with a ton of receiver injuries.
Yeah, I mean, they got obviously Eric Rogers back, which is huge.
But again, I mean, if you get a chance to get an SJ Green, I think you got to take that, right? So I think that'll make things very interesting for sure. Now, Saturday, we've got a triple header going on. The first game up is Saskatchewan versus Winnipeg in Winnipeg. Now, of course, we're going to have this game on at the tailgate, so make sure you stop by and catch some of that game. Super fan, you get to pick this one first. Who do you got in Saski versus Winnipeg?
You know, I think this is a tough one. I still am just not a big believer in the Saskatchewan offense. I mean, obviously, they didn't score any majors this game. The only major they had was from the pick six, and that's been consistent throughout this season.
Absolutely.
That defense scores more than the offense more often than not.
Yes.
Winnipeg, again, does have that second place to shoot for. With Saskatchewan winning, they are still trailing, so... it's going to be a heck of a game, I think, but I think the offense is just so much better on Winnipeg, and I think they've got a solid defense, so I'm going to give it to the Bombers.
All right. I am going to, much as it begrudges me, I am going to pick the Green Riders in this game. I think that defense is playing on another level right now than any other team. Don't get me wrong, Calgary's defense is amazing as well, but that Saskatchewan defense is just something else. Now, they are going up against what I believe to be the best offensive line in the league in
one of the best
Winnipeg.
running backs. Yeah.
But they do seem to just find a way to slow those guys down. And they're just ball hawking enough against good old Matt Nichols. So I am going to pick the Riders to win this because...
They did sweep the back-to-back in the Banjo Bowl.
Again, if I keep picking the teams that I don't want to win, then Saskatchewan it is. Mandy, who do you have in this one?
Well, I gotta say, I don't know. Super fan Mike, maybe you're choosing Winnipeg because they slaughtered us last week. I'm not sure why.
Well, they both beat us the last 2 weeks, so...
Well, we didn't get slaughtered today, though.
That's true.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, I'm going to choose Saskatchewan. I mean, look at the role that they're on, and Coach Jones keeps wearing green. I mean...
Please don't mention that. Stupid Jones. Anyway.
And ever since they ever since they let go of my Duron Carter, everything fell apart and then came back together.
Yeah. They're
you got to break it down to build it back up again.
They're playing very well right now.
But again, I just don't see their offense doing that great, and that's why.
I think it's hit and miss. It's
been a lot more miss than hit.
Yeah, but I mean, you look. Well, granted, yes, they were playing Toronto, but you know, you put 300 on. They put enough on the board to win this week. That's all they have to. They don't ask how, but they ask how many.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. So I think anyway.
If Jones wears black, he's going to lose.
There we go.
Okay.
That's it.
I think we need to raid his closet.
I'm going to look and see if he's got black on, then I'll change my pick. Okay. Now, the second game, of course, is Ottawa versus Edmonton, 3 o'clock on the brick field at Commonwealth Stadium. The Uncle BD Stats Minute is that this is the final time that the Esks are playing on a short week this year. We lost one and won one, so let's see what happens this time.
That was a great return when we played against Calgary, obviously, on the shorter week.
Yes, exactly. So we'll have to see about that. But needless to say, this is the third one for them. Now let's first go to the Ottawa side of the ball. So for the CFPN game preview, we bring in another newer podcaster. He's from the WoodCookie SawCast. It's the one and only Rod. How's it going, man?
Happy Thanksgiving, guys. It's going well. I know that we don't have a lot to be thankful for between the two of us, but we'll make it through this, won't we?
Absolutely.
We sure will.
And I even appreciate you throwing that in there, the Thanksgiving on the Canadian side of things, because now you're recording out of LA, correct? Like down in California, and yet you're following as the WoodCookie cast with the Red Blacks.
Yeah, I mean, LA, California, it's all the same, right? I'm actually in Northern California, but I mean, you know, people don't, when they hear California, they think Hollywood anyway, so I just go with it. But yeah, I'm in Northern California. Yeah, I love the Red Blacks, man. I've loved them for the last 3 seasons, and I couldn't shut up about them down here, and no one cared in California, so I took my talents up north and started a podcast about the Red Blacks, and haven't looked back since this season.
Oh, that is so fantastic, and I'm loving it for sure. So now your team they're coming off a heartbreaking overtime loss. Do you expect them to do something different this week coming in against the Eskimos, or just continue to do what they do as it just about got them there?
Well, as a Red Blacks fan, I wish I could tell you consistently that they could do the same thing week in and week out, but I certainly can't. So what I will say is I hope that they do a lot of what they did last week and run William Powell down people's throats, because I feel like that is the way that you're going to beat teams, and that's the way that you can continue to beat teams. Now, you know, they gave us a good a good second half. I mean, they looked like we were going to get beat to holy heck that first half, but then they gave us hope, and then they fumbled it away in the second half. So Yeah, it's crazy. But like I said, I think if they continue to keep William Powell involved as much as they have in the last few weeks, at some point, guys, it's got to break through, and we've got to win more than just a game here and there.
so true.
At what point?
Well, okay.
At some point.
Yeah, exactly.
At what point? And consistency, that's a hard thing to get, isn't it?
Any team down the road right now, it seems like, especially, with the Esks as well, it just feels like you have the greatest team in the world for maybe 10 minutes, and then all of a sudden they rip.
You okay?
Yeah, consistency with the S.
Yeah. Yeah, sounds all too familiar.
Youch.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, like, you have the world's best team, and then they take it and they rip your
fire trucking
heart out, right?
Yowzers. We got the talent, we got the skill, but do we want it?
That might have been one of the most classic fire truckers ever. I love it.
True.
That's fantastic. All right. Super fan.
So, you talked about William Powell, the running back there. I personally believe that's going to be the biggest challenge, trying to slow him down. What do you see as the biggest challenge for the Red Blacks this game?
Well, it's Mike Riley. It's always Mike Riley, isn't it? That's the way.
Has it been?
Well,
you haven't watched today's game yet, have you? Yeah. Okay.
Hey, full alert! Full spoiler. Of course, I haven't watched it yet. I'm getting that tonight. Unfortunately, I didn't get Thanksgiving to be thankful here in the States. That's another month away for me.
We certainly had the turkey here today, so.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of turkey.
But here's the thing: even if these bad games are bad games, right? He's still Mike Riley, and he still has the capability of throwing it all over the place. At some, you maybe haven't seen it in the last couple of weeks, but when he discovers that talent again, and if it's this week against the Red Blacks, then we're in for trouble because the receiving core, well, again, on paper they can do it.
Sure,
the passes. So if we're going to take things on paper, then I still think Mike Riley is the thing you got to beat because he's still a special player. No matter how bad he's looked the last few weeks, he's still capable of doing a hell of a lot on the field.
Awesome. So now, who do you think on your team overall? Who's had the biggest improvement so far throughout the whole season?
It's the periphery. Is that even a word?
I'll take it.
Yeah, the receivers on the periphery.
The periphery. Yep.
Yeah.
The periphery. I'm a podcaster. What?
That's right.
That had too much eggnog. Is that a Thanksgiving thing? Anyways, I think it's those weapons that aren't Sinopoli and Ellingson. We've seen R.J. Harris sparkle at times, and we've seen Dominique Rhymes do a couple of great things on the field. So J.C. Beaulieu has caught some passes, and even Julian Fioli-Gadino had a good game against the Bombers. So it's those guys that don't have names like Deontay Spencer or Brad Sinopoli or Greg Ellingson. I think those guys are the ones that you've seen kind of step up in big places where when the big names haven't had good games, they've managed to find ways to make Harris look good.
Very true, very true. Now, as we go into this game, what is your expectation, or what do you think this will be? Do you think this is going to be a shootout, or do you think it's going to be a defensive battle? Because Ottawa's defense has shown up to some games and really shut guys down.
Let me grab the app on my phone that's a coin flip because...
hey, Siri.
Are the Red Blacks going to look good or bad this week? Let's see. That's a really good question, to be honest with you. Because at first, last week's game seemed like it might have been somewhat of a defensive tussle, and then turned out to be a shootout by the end of it. So I don't know. In this, the way these two teams look, and I said this last week when I talked to Joe Pritchard about how this Bombers game was. I said I could see it going one of two ways: either the offenses completely explode, or they forget how to play football altogether, and the defenses own this. I have a feeling that this is the same that I can say about this game. I feel like the Red Blacks have such a great defense, but if Mike Riley gets on a roll, he gets on a roll, and then Trevor Harris has got to keep up. So I think it might start out as a defensive struggle. It might be a lot like this Winnipeg game that we just had. It might start as a defensive struggle and then wind up being, a 50-48 shootout.
Sort of like boxers, right? Sort of feeling each other out in the first couple of rounds, and then they start slugging away.
It's funny because I feel like most of the CFL games are like that. Those first 3 or 4 drives is just like, inching along and maybe a couple of body jabs here and there. And then all of a sudden the haymakers start flying and, you're starting to get 50, 60-yard touchdowns or, worse. So
I don't know what those are anymore.
Yeah, I was just going to say, what is a 50 or 60-yard touchdown? Granted,
it's funny. We talked about it earlier that Ottawa outscored every team in the CFL this week except Winnipeg. Again, more spoilers for you, but this wasn't an offensive juggernaut today.
No, I know. I got 3/4 through the Montreal game as we're taping right now, so I still don't even know how that one ends. But God, man, it was 3/4 worth of. Am I really watching Bo Levi Mitchell play?
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, we'll take it.
Picks and picks.
And not to sound, too, upsetting or whatever, but I really kind of hope that it, like you said, that it goes the same way as the Winnipeg game last week. The result at the end would be great too.
Final. I want to go the way of the Winnipeg.
Well, yeah, there you go.
I have a question for you.
Absolutely.
I have a question for you, Rod. How many minutes are the Red Blacks going to play next game?
God.
Is it a 60-minute game?
That's a good one.
I was going to say, if my math is correct, I would say they probably play at least 47.
Okay, that's good.
47.
I dream of 47.
Wow.
That happened once upon a time for the Eskimos.
It did, yes.
We'll talk about that in the Esks History moment.
That's absolutely we will.
Well, good for you then.
Well, we wish you all the luck this week. It's always fun chatting with you, Rod. Plug your pod and let everybody know where they can find you and all the great work you're doing.
I'll steal your friend. Absolutely. You can find me on Twitter at RJ Villagomez. You can find the show on Twitter at WoodCookie Cast. And, of course, if you're listening to this podcast, just take that app and search for the WoodCookie SawCast, and you'll certainly find it there too.
Awesome. Thanks so much for joining us, man, and we'll chat again, I'm sure, after the game next week.
Absolutely. Get your fire truckers ready again.
Fire trucker.
Thanks again to Rod for coming on. It was awesome to have him on the show, and if you're not listening to the WoodCookie SawCast, you should. It's really, really fun. So... Okay. So yeah, check that out. He's a lot of fun. So now let's talk about the Esks side of the ball. So Superfan, let's start with you. How do we win this game against Ottawa? How do we find a way not to lose?
Well, I think if our defensive line and the rest of the defense, especially the front seven, can play as well as they did, I think, against Saskatchewan, that's going to really slow them down. Now, it's going to be our offense has to continue to improve. I mean, like Mandy said before, we definitely played a lot better against Saskatchewan than they did against Winnipeg.
Right. The offense, yes.
Yes, the offense, absolutely. And we certainly made it close. Let's face it, we lost 30-3 and, again, allowed another pick six in that game. So we've got back-to-back pick sixes.
Yeah.
If we could stop that, that'd be a really great improvement over this next week.
It'd be really good.
But we're just we got to figure out a way to corral William Powell.
Yeah.
If we can make it so that Trevor Harris has to be one-dimensional and it's all about airing that ball out, that means he's got to hold onto the ball maybe an extra second or two, and that gives the guys like Mondo, like Bazzi, like Serezna, and of course Kwaku, gives them a chance to maybe get home, disrupt things a bit, and then we got a chance.
All right, that's fair. Now, Mandy, you had a little thing that you noticed this year that is bugging you a little bit. It's kind of fitting as we talk about Edmonton and Ottawa. So what's your question on that one?
Well, I have a question for both of you on
Sure.
this one.
Yes.
Now, why did the GM bring in so many Ottawa rejects in the last year or two?
Yeah, well, I think there's two things. First, he has the relationship with them because he knows them from Ottawa, right? And I think he got some really good players out of that.
Jake
when you
Serezna
talk
being an
Jake
example,
Jake
right?
Serezna in the trade with Odell, Forrest Hightower, great. I think he's been a really great addition. You look at some others that we haven't really been able to see. Jaron Kreiner, who's, like you said, he's been on the injured list all year, so we haven't been able to really see him do anything. There's also been a couple that have been a tad questionable.
Oh, I bet you don't know their names because you don't see them. Their names are Taylor Reed, 35.
Yes. PR.
Tommy Draham, 64.
Injured.
Colin Kelly, 67.
Well, I got
that was the one I was just going to say. Yeah, okay, yeah.
Here are the winners.
Yes.
Jake Ceresna, 94. Yes. Forrest Hightower, 12. Yes, Mike Moore, 96.
You bet.
Yes. Huge.
I think the biggest thing is he came from Ottawa here, and while he was in Ottawa, he scouted these guys, so he knows them very well. And if he liked them for Ottawa, for whatever reasons they happen to be, that's why he's like, okay, well, I liked them then, why wouldn't I like them now?
So he had good
Jamil
intentions.
Smith, too. Let's not forget Jamil Smith.
Yeah, and
Jamil Smith. I do like to forget Jamil Smith.
That's fair. But he's a great guy.
No. I love the Jamil Smith, but I mean... Yeah.
It was having a hard time back there. There's no doubt about it.
Hell of a dancer.
Hell of a dancer.
Oh, and that's important.
Hell of a dancer. Yeah.
For sure.
But I think that's really why. I mean, I think that's why it's been, we've been called the West Red Blacks.
But you look at in BC Lions.
Exactly.
Of course, they have our former GM and
the
how many
Lions?
Former Eskimos have gone to the Lions. It's just because these are guys that, like, I scouted them. I know all their strengths and weaknesses, so that's the guys I want to bring over.
Well, I have an interesting tidbit on that. Yeah. You know how we lost the Willie Plus? Or, no, I'm sorry, Odell Willis. So sorry, I got my names mixed up there. Odell Willis. Did you know that he actually wanted to go to BC?
Oh, I wouldn't.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, we didn't let him go.
No, and then we tried to trade him out east, and then back he came.
Yep.
So that's how
within minutes, but there is no kind of collusion.
No, nothing at all. All right, so Mandy, talking about this game, Eskimos versus Red Blacks, what do you think that we need to do? What's the keys of the game for the Eskimos?
You know, honestly, I'm just looking at it from a big picture point of view, and it's like we just need to come together as a team. You know?
Yeah.
That's it. And like we gotta want to win. And that's it.
Yeah.
It's something you can't really coach passion, though. So what are you going to do if you're Jason Moss to get your team that fired up? Can you as Moss, or is that more a Riley thing? Or?
If I were Moss, I would be quiet.
Okay.
I might not show up if I was Moss. And then we might win.
You know if he can do that? I don't know if he's actually got that ability.
I don't think he's allowed to do that.
Okay. If I was Moss, I might fire the offensive coordinator if I was Moss.
Who are we picking in this game? I guess I need to pick this one first, don't I? Great. Red Blacks are winning. Who do you have, Mandy?
Come on, Mandy.
I am shocked by your answer.
I have already stated I am not picking them until they can show me they can actually score a touchdown.
Well, I'll talk to the Eskimos and I'll tell them to show up. So
that'd be great. I appreciate that.
See? There you go. Mandy's got some faith. You know what?
She's better than me.
Yeah. Well, duh. You know what? I'm going to agree with Mandy on this one. I think that we have to eventually show up. We have way too much talent on this team to waste it away. This is a home game. We have traditionally done very well against Ottawa, including recently in Commonwealth Stadium. We've only lost to them once, and that was even a couple of years ago now. So I think things are going to come together. I don't think it was a horribly coached game, this game. I think there was just player error.
Except for no running,
yeah. But again, he did run 12 times, right? So at least he's going in the right direction when he had 6 or 8 before that. I think the boys are going to pull this one together, and I think I get a little more separation from you in the pick'em, so I think we're going to take it.
I'm sure I hope you do, but I don't think that's going to happen. All right, when again they start storing some TDs, I'll start picking them to win again. All right, last game on that same night, right after our game, is BC versus Calgary. This one is in Calgary. This has major implications for the BC Lions
and for us.
Absolutely. Who do you see winning that game, Mandy?
You know what I see? I don't know. I see a toss-up. I saw Calgary perform very weak this weekend.
Yep. Yes.
They are a team that can be beat.
Sure.
You just catch them on an off day. And BC, they got enough talent. If they bring it, they can get it.
All right. So who do you pick?
I don't want to say the red team.
Who do you pick to lose?
Yeah.
Well, let's just say BC Lions are going to win. Let's just go.
You're going to win? Nice. Oh, all right. Okay, then.
All right.
Wow. I cannot say Stamps. No.
All right. Okay.
Doesn't matter what side of the line you're on. You don't want to say that.
Well, That's Levi's going to drop the ball.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wait. We'll save that for the Grey Cup.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that actually, can I give credit to Rouge Radio? for one of the best tweets of the day?
By all means.
I believe the tweet was, did somebody tell Calgary they were playing for the Grey Cup today?
That was awesome.
That's
couldn't have been because they won.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I think there's some weird stuff going on in BC right now. Ed Hervey again going to the media and calling out a player. He did that obviously 4 or 5 years ago with Simeon Rotier. And that sort of had mixed results as well. And that's just the way Ed is.
Yeah,
and you
absolutely.
like it or you don't, whatever. When you hire him, you know this is the kind of person he is. Unfortunately, when it's your quarterback and it's your starting guy and you don't really have that other option, you got to roll with him. I don't know. That's I think Jennings was kind of got a bit of a fragility to him right now as it is. And when your general manager is basically telling you, I don't believe in you, I think you're lazy, and you're not here next year.
Yeah.
What exactly are you playing for? I mean, I guess you're auditioning for the next team that's going to take you. But,
I guess, yeah.
I'm going to pick BC to lose.
All right. I am picking BC to lose as well because they're in Calgary. And
I just can't say Calgary's going to win. So,
well, that's right. Yeah.
Nobody can say that.
No,
we don't want to say that.
We're not Ryan.
It's just painful. Yeah. Speaking of Ryan, I should actually go back and say that, I want to apologize to the Empire. It's my fault that they suck this bad because I tried to pull the Ryan at the beginning of the season and say they were going to finish first. It's dumb. I should never do that.
No,
it's just not my style. So, yeah. Anyway.
Got to be you.
Yep, it's all my fault. Fantasy leader this week is now actually Ryan Coop from the Canadian Football Countdown. He's jumped up over Matt Pretty.
Oh,
it's crazy. I know.
Did he?
I am 14th, and you are 23rd. So
I dropped again. I think we've already talked about the outstanding picks that I've had.
Beautiful report.
3.4 points from Bo Levi Mitchell.
Yep.
I think we said earlier, my fantasy pick is that the Edmonton wins this game. So
okay,
I think I've already got my fantasy in. I need to work on my fantasies, clearly.
You really need to work on... Well, no, I don't mind the fantasy. My problem is that it is a fantasy is what it seems like at this moment. Yep. So, yes. Okay. My fantasy pick, do not pick Vidal Hazelton. That's the V1. I can tell you that right now.
I want him to have like a 150-yard game just so that next week he'd be like, I don't even know anymore.
I don't know anymore.
He'll get on TSN and be like, I was listening to the podcast and they said...
Yeah, they said, don't pick me, and then I racked up a bunch of yards. I think actually some really, really good picks to look at this week. Tasker going up against that Toronto Argonauts defense.
Absolutely.
And that they had... They had another receiver that I can't remember his name.
Buddy, what's his name?
Yep. Buddy, what's his name was another good pick. Yeah, basically, if they have receiver and Hamilton beside their name, I would pick them. How's that sound?
Yeah, me too.
Choice.
Wonderful. All right.
You can't pick the team against Montreal, so.
No, I know. They have I know, so you have to play against Toronto. Yeah, or us. Although our defense does.
So who's the defense you're taking this week?
The defense I'm taking this week?
Yeah.
Likely Hamilton.
Jimmy Deuce not going to be happy?
No, probably not. Actually, you know what? There's maybe I take the Calgary defense.
They're strong.
Think they're going to play strong at home?
Strong at home against, again, Jennings, who may be rattled.
Saskatchewan defense, when Matt Nichols is going to manage to get 15 points and then a couple of pick sixes. Well, he doesn't give the ball away, I guess. That's so many options. We'll see.
I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I'd pick the Edmonton defense, but that would just jinx them and they'd get nothing and it would not be good. Yeah, so I'm not about to do that.
Yeah, can you just pick all Ottawa this week?
Actually, you know what? Maybe I should pick the Ottawa defense.
There you go.
Yeah, I think I might. It really worked out for me picking Saskatchewan this week.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, you guys, for coming in to chat some football. Mandy, thank you for taking the time and bringing all the notes and going through everything. Tell everybody where they can find you on Twitter and catch up with you and all those types of things.
All right. Well, I just got Twitter recently, actually, so I don't really know how to do the Twitter.
Oh, okay.
However, my handle
good at it.
my handle is @Mandolina-Miss.
Perfect. Thank you, and thank you again for coming down. Absolutely. This is really fun.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Superfan, where does everybody find you?
I've said the last couple of weeks you can find me at Angry Esks Fan, and it's just not getting any less angry.
No, I know.
But, if you want to find maybe something more positive, go for Slobodovic. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can find me at 56 Parkies.
Perfect. You can find, of course, find Commissioner Kayla at Duchess Lombardi, and you can find me at Freepalicious and the show at Esk Empire Pod. Thank you again to Rod from WoodCookie SawCast for joining us, and you can find them at WoodCookie Cast. And thank you again, of course, to our sponsor, United Construction Company, and check out their website at unitedconstruction.ca. You down with UCC?
Yeah, you know me.
Oh, look, she was right on.
She's been studying.
That's awesome. And of course, find all of our social media on our website, eskempire.ca. We will be back next week, and we're going to be joined by Jerry Hirashi, who is the chairman of the Spirit of Edmonton.
Yes.
So we're going to talk Spirit of Edmonton and Grey Cup next week. Only one question this week. Are we looking forward to the tailgate on Saturday?
Absolutely.
For Mandy, Commissioner Kayla, and Superfan Mike, I'm Andrew. Remember, you can't catch footballs with your face, and we will absolutely talk to you next week.
Thanks for listening. Find more great shows like this at CF Pod Network on Twitter.